On Juneteenth, the beginning of Baltimore Pride, and Father's Day, the lectionary gives us the story of the Gerasene demoniac. Luke chapter 8 is full of an intense array of teaching and healing and exorcism. The encounter we will explore this morning is overflowing with these moments and acts like an encapsulation of the entire chapter. In only 13 verses, Jesus travels to the region of Gerasa, and based on the geography of the Sea of Galilee, the likeliest location of the miracle of the swine, as it is known in the Christian canon, is an Israeli town in Golan Heights called Kursi, which means chair in Arabic. Kursi was a Gentile, non-Jewish area during the Roman Empire, and later became the site of an early Byzantine monastery because of its holy significance for the miracle of the pigs. But long before early Christians gathered there to pray and worship and live together, a completely nude man who lived among the tombs approaches Jesus the moment he steps out on land from the boat. Jesus had just come to shore after calming the storm on the Sea of Galilee and a significant amount of teaching. I have no idea what he was expecting when he disembarked, but I wonder if this moment caught him by surprise at all. The gospel tells us that demons possess the man. Jesus learns this quickly, too, as the man begins to shout at him, "Jesus, what have you done to me? Do not torture me, I beg you." Jesus commands the unclean spirits to leave him alone. And it is the voice of his torturers Jesus hears rather than the man's voice. The gospel narrative is scattered and reveals more details as the story unfolds, and we now learn that the demons have seized the man so often that his community set up a prison for him, a private prison with guards to watch over him, and he was bound with chains and shackles. Because the demons would fill his body with significant strength, he was capable of breaking those chains and those shackles and then would flee even further into the wilderness outside of town. Only after Jesus initially tries to cast out the demon does he ask a question of introduction. "What is your name?" Jesus asks. The demons answer, "Legion," because they had fully possessed the man in body and spirit. A legion is the largest Roman military grouping, and during the time of Christ would have included about 6,000 soldiers. To refer to oneself as legion is to refer to oneself as the largest and strongest force of imperial military might. The demons beg Jesus not to cast them out, although they claim that they are so strong and so many. They did not want to go back to what the gospel refers to as the abyss, or the pit, the place of darkness and damnation for the devil and the rest of the fallen angels that joined him in his rebellion against God. Instead, they bargain with Jesus, asking him to send them into the pigs instead. Jesus agrees to do this, and the demons enter the swine. The pigs go crazy and race to their death, stampeding into the Sea of Galilee and drowning. Apparently, it is better to the demons to enter a pig and drown than to be sent to the abyss of darkness directly by Jesus Christ. Of course, these swine herders are in shock. All the time and money and work they have put into tending this herd, all of it completely and utterly wasted, floating in the Sea of Galilee below. The herd has drowned, their livelihood has gone, and how will they explain this? How will they explain this to their families and to the rest of the city? No one will believe them that this is how all the pigs died. So they go and report what happened immediately in town and in the countryside. And of course, disbelieving this tall tale, crowds of people come out to the banks of the sea to find the formerly possessed, continually naked, tomb-dwelling man sitting at the feet of a strange Jewish teacher, wearing someone else's clothes and carrying on a normal conversation. How would you respond if you saw someone you know behaving in a way entirely unlike the way that you have seen them act other times? They decide, rather than to embrace him and celebrate his healing, to respond with total and complete fear. The swineherds tell the story again, explaining what happened to the pigs and the way the demons left the man and entered them, killing themselves in the process. The people of the entire region asked Jesus to leave. They did not want any more to do with this odd rabbi from across the sea. Luke tells us that they asked him to leave out of great fear. Great fear. They are not grateful. They are not excited. They are not inviting Jesus to stay and have a meal, or to celebrate, or to heal more people. They want him to leave faster than he arrived. And now Jesus does not put up a fight or try to convince them that they should appreciate his ministry or be thrilled at what God is doing in their midst. He gets back in his boat. And as he is about to leave, the healed man, the no longer naked man, the restored to his senses man begs Jesus to let him on the boat to go with him. Now Jesus offers resistance. He tells the man that he cannot go and that he needs to stay behind in his hometown. Not because Jesus is cruel or vindictive, but because this man is now the only witness left to tell the story of what took place. Jesus commissions him to be an evangelist in his hometown. And so he does. The man spreads the news of his healing and the power of Jesus wherever he goes. Before Jesus healed him, he shouted the word Legion. And after Jesus healed him, he proclaims the words of miracle, the words of restoration, the words of life. Jesus sends him home to tell the good news. Rather than allow the man to join him and his disciples, he leaves him there to spread the word of who Jesus is and the miracles he performs. I'd like to go back to the crowd for a moment and reflect on them with you. Keep in mind, Jesus has just decimated their local economy by killing the herd of swine. And they figured out a way to contain the man possessed by demons, paying others to guard him and keeping him out of sight among the tombs. Out of sight, out of mind, as the aphorism goes. The message they sent with this setup was very clear. No disruptions to our life are allowed. Our economy will keep moving. Our way of life cannot be interrupted. And you need to stay put where you are so we can control you and dominate you. And then Jesus turns up and turns everything upside down for the region of Gerasa. Rather than respond with excitement that their neighbor and friend and relative has come back to them, whole and healthy and joyful, they are more upset about what Jesus represents than what the healing means. Jesus brings change, and with that change, upends their socio-economic system. Modern humans like us are not much better when confronted with change. Think about the way people respond to the idea that eating vegan is better for the planet, or better for the human body, or the way the general public reacts to trans students playing on sports teams, even the way that the average white person responds when their neighborhood becomes more racially diverse. Human beings do not like change, particularly uncomfortable change. We like things the way they are. We cling to what we know, particularly if it gives us power. Even better if it gives us the illusion of control over our life and our circumstances. I am here to remind us this morning that Jesus did not come to keep us comfortable. Jesus did not step out of that boat after calming the storm to simply pray for the man possessed by demons and not bring any change in his life. Sometimes radical healing requires radical change. Sometimes it requires changing an entire way of life, not simply for one person, but for the entire community. And sometimes Jesus shows up to dismantle your life for the better. The miracle of communal wholeness takes work, and it is hard. Jesus leaves us with no fantasies about the work ahead for the community of Gerasa. The gospel writer does not give us any clues about what happens after Jesus and the disciples leave and head back to the Sea of Galilee. What we do know is that the man stays behind. He stays in his community, the one that chained him up in the tombs, leaving him for dead, the one they left unclothed like an animal, the one they shackled and guarded. He stays with them. He persists in their presence, the way he persisted through his demon possession, and now he proclaims the good news of healing. Like Jesus cast out his demons, Jesus can cast out their fear too. This Juneteenth, we celebrate the ending of slavery and the beginning of upending the slave economy. We celebrate the first Pride, which was a protest in the streets of New York, led by the Black and brown trans community. We celebrate fathering and the way we care for one another in all sorts of ways. As we celebrate this myriad of relationships and this tearing down of oppressive systems together, remember this. The God who brings about healing in this story, the God who confronts the fear of the community with the miracle of wholeness, is the same God who comes for you, the same God who claims you as their own, who comes to root out of your life whatever must be removed for Jesus to work through you, the same God who comes to take down systemic sin and transform the world around and within us. This is the Jesus who waits for you, who will pull up on the shore of your life any minute.